Today we are interviewing Kate Edwards. She's the Executive Director at the International Game Developers Association. How did you get involved in the video game industry?
Well, I got involved in the game industry by joining Microsoft as a cartographer for Encarta Encyclopedia way back when, right out of graduate school. And so I got into Microsoft. I created an internal team there called Geopolitical Strategy. So my job was to protect the company against political and cultural risks in all of their content. And once the Microsoft Game Studio got started, all of that fell under my responsibility too. So that's essentially how I started working on games.
What is the primary purpose of IGDA?
So the International Game Developers Association, we exist essentially to be the professional society for anyone who makes video games. So we exist to be a community for global game developers. So we have over 130 chapters around the world. And so basically it's a large global community for game developers. And we as an organization, we also advocate on behalf of developers. So if we see issues that are affecting the developer community, we speak up about them. We're very vocal about it, and we basically want working conditions. We want the game development environment to be as positive as possible for everyone. Wonderful.
What is it you enjoy best about working with game developers?
I love working with game developers because of the creativity. It's never a dull moment. It's some of the coolest people in the world. Not only just what they produce, but just as people and as individuals. I love the fact that a lot of people who find their way into the game industry didn't necessarily intend to be in the game industry. So they might have very diverse backgrounds, like whether they're a geographer. I've met historians, I've met ethnomusicologists, I've met so many different people who just kind of found their way into the game industry and they've found their place. And it's just such a cool place to work because of that and just because of what we're doing. I mean, basically working on a cutting edge medium.
That must be really fun when it comes to create just experiences.
It is. I mean, especially because since we are a technology-dependent industry, technology is always changing. So to me, it's never a dull moment. I mean, we kind of go through these phases of innovation, like right now where we're seeing VR and AR take the stage, even though those have been around for a few decades, but it's finally being realized. So now that the technology actually works, let's see what we can do with it from the game perspective, and that's really cool.
I recently participated with the IGDA Houston chapter to create a video game in 48 hours for the Houston Global Game Jam. A group of over 60 creatives gathered together for the weekend. 12 people proposed the game ideas, and I was shocked when mine was voted up as one of the projects to be created. My game idea, Fae Harmony, involved a fairy who created sounds by using objects and nature around her. I enjoyed working with the artists Luis Nunez and Ashley Arizola, as well as the dynamic coding team Kumudini Jadhav, Keith Turkowski, and Diane Abad. Together we finished a small demo of the game concept. You can find that here. What is the number one problem you believe the industry faces?
I think the number one problem the industry faces from a larger perspective is essentially being a mature industry. Creativity, as great as it is and as passionate, just raw passion that we all have about the medium, we are doing this as a marathon. It's a lifelong career. It's not a sprint. And so working conditions need to reflect that. We need to really start working on eliminating crunch time or downplaying crunch time as a normal activity. And find a work-life balance that is, that's healthy. And it's completely possible to do. I think part of it is that in North America and in East Asia, it tends to be pretty prevalent still, but there's a lot of countries, like in Europe, for example, like Germany, where you can't do crunch time. It's against the federal laws to do it, and guess what? They have game studios and they make games, and they're successful at it.
All right, and last question, what's your favorite game?
My favorite game, that is very difficult. I would say it would have to be a tie between the Atari Star Wars game back in the old arcade days and the Halo series. I love playing Halo multiplayer. It's probably the two games I've spent the most hours of my life doing.
Thank you very much for interviewing with us today.
Thank you.
information on Behind the Beta and other current projects I'm working on, go to inkrosinc.com. Our next episode features Phillip Morales, the co-founder and character designer of Orb Interactive. You can help support Behind the Beta on Patreon, link in the description.